out of yesterday with a 50% win rate.
Yeah, I think they would have won. I think actually it was Go who would have won.
We would have to double check, but
I'm pretty sure it would have been Go who would have won on their chicken dinner yesterday.
You're perhaps right.
No, I'm definitely correct.
You're so potentially right.
I had confirmation.
Yeah, which means that you are definitely potentially right.
No, I had confirmation. Confirmed.
Yeah, which could be correct.
No, that would be potentially.
In with wherefore all and wherefore art thou.
What does confirmed mean to you?
It's like how I can confirm that right now Nate is in the thick of Regnum Karya because he is up against it, and I don't think that's going to be a good time. Silas, Wild, Toshpik, Loxy rocks on in, and Leviso though doing a lot of work from the high ground for DX Xavier. Paragin as well. We know how he likes these off angles. Will enact that once more, but spotted by a third party. I think this is an FX on the east side potentially getting involved. Lamborghini for DX Xavier. 2 around the bonnet. The first is good. The second not so much. Up to Leviso now to try and close it down against Wild. A nade over the top. That looks good. Could be right in the sliver of the crack that they're looking for. Not going to explode in time to catch Wild. And Leviso falls and is all up to Paragin.
This is messy for Regnum Karya. Loxy will go down. Quick step up there coming through. And Regnum Karya is holding on by a thread right now. Wild not allowing this to go elsewhere. Steps up, takes down Rex. This is incredible coming through from Regnum Karya to hang on for this long. Going to look for the res here, but Domain already taking shots round the wheel.
Those chunky tires keeping him safe for just a moment longer. Wild, the man of the hour here for Regnum Karya. Paragin repositions away, gets the hell out of there. Hellions as well on the flank, and trying to maybe have a little bit of a crunch impact on this fight, but it's Nepex really who are forcing the issue here. Wild down on the deck. The bounce off the bonnet of the buggy is unfortunate. That could have found Wild had it not gone up into the sky. Drops the smoke behind him, knows that that off angle could be devastating if Nepex try and occupy it, but they disengage.
I wonder if Regnum Karya can actually get Toshpik up here. They're looking to go through for it. I think it was twice in a row that Toshpik was on broadside and they missed the shots. Right now Regnum Karya is heavily surrounded. This has been a tough rotate over towards the eastern side for a lot of our squads. We are starting to confirm over towards the position on the centre. Hellion getting further than we've seen them get in a long time.
4MV on the northwest side who are on board with right now, close by to Influence Rage, and actually beyond that on the north, Enigma Galaxy up over on the road out of Hacienda del Patron. Actually spotting Diego getting the flush as well. Navallo picks up that point into the pocket for Enigma Galaxy. The northwest side, they'll try and make their way on in a little bit later. Hard south shift on this circle. It's an Impala edge finish. So we're going to be going into those mountains that sit around that area.
Enigma Galaxy had a rough start to their game, but I think they've got back up on their feet now and will be on that northwest side. Reject up against Go Effies. Looking to get run down by Regios, by Apollo.
Oh no.
Effie's very low. Is that going to be confirmation as well? We'll have to wait and see. Duello moving around the side. Apollo trying to get out of danger.
Trying to face off against both of these two players left standing. Varanic goes down. No flushes just yet, and Effies is super low. Apollo is still down, and he's driving his cover away from him. Just wants to get out of there because it is the last player standing for Goat Quality. Up towards Ego, maybe looking for this res onto his teammate. The blue zone is upon them. It's stage 3, so you can res in the blue zone if you have that bandage on nice and early. Apollo potentially going to get picked up too.
Yeah, it's going to be tight though. It's going to be very, very tight here. Effies has the advantage. Having the peek over, should be able to get Ego as well. Penalty, a nasty off angle. Nepex taking down Black Esports.
Center circle. Reject repositioned to Divine, trying to slide under the watchful eyes of Ego, and will be able to do so for just a moment longer. Low HP for Apollo as he still has to back off in the buggy. Meds are starting to look thin on the ground now for Go Quality. I imagine it's probably going to be a similar story for Reject on this northern side, and the disengage comes through. 3 players alive for Go and 4 players alive for Reject. I felt like that was a hell of a lot bloodier than that scoreline would entail.
Yeah, it was Messy fight from both teams. F-Eaters get knocked out by Mark on a rolling vehicle. Do they know?
Oh no.
The reject's just over the crest here. That reject might be swinging down south. Try and deny as much sightlines as possible away from them. But R8, I think the general idea of this.
They'll hear the vehicles. Marth repositioning. He should have been spotted too. Reject just beyond that white boundary, which means that they will be in this next zone. They can afford to spend a little bit more time navigating this coastline, but trying to get ahead of the game, Reiji is going to break down early. And R8 on the longhouse actually getting spotted by Nongshim Red Force. So two teams fighting. Potentially Reject up to the ridge line as well. So danger afoot for R8.
Right, definitely in the worst spot, but again, this position is pretty decent, pretty nice, gives you cover. Prestige going down though is not great news and could be the invitation to push in for Reject. Circle down towards the south on Impala. Always makes for an interesting finish with a high ground that sits on that south side, but it is undecided between the high ground on the north and the south. Where a lot of open ground over towards the west. That's Wild moving through from Regnum Karya. You do have both players still alive. The Toshpick did get picked up.
Getting back on top. Reject first through. Nixon Galaxy hot behind them. And Black Esports not really doing too much to slow it down. And there's also another team moving through the same area. Duello has his vehicle go up in smoke and right up to the metal fence here. Nongshim Red Force, I don't know if they're going to be able to take the time to hop out. Reichi gets spotted as they crash into Ake Cyber. And there is really, I mean, it was crazy that they got that far, to be honest, on an unscouted roll in with a bit of a Hail Mary to the north side of Impala.
I think Enigma Galaxy even getting here was pretty risky. Going straight past 4MV, and I think so many teams are just trying to take sanctuary right now. Inside of Impala in those buildings, Regnum Karya, one player goes down. Same story for Enigma Galaxy. Can Ralph even get towards Redox? You're going to have to crawl all the way back to the building. Ooh, it's not the case with 721 actually picking up that elim.
Ralph now last player alive for Enigma Galaxy. With 3 elims on the match, they did want a little bit better of a showing so far. 721 aggressor. On the outside of Impala, and actually that may not be a bad thing, Blank. There's so many teams looking to put pressure into this settlement that being a little bit on the outskirts may net you a top 5 type performance. Play your cards right. Here's the roll down from R8 between them and Goat Quality. Reject as well stepped up from that north side, but no one really made it out unscathed. Hellion, they're still active on that northwestern edge.
To be honest with you, Hellion's position is not terrible. It's just, it's not in where we imagine this circle to go. Like, crossing that road has always been historically very difficult. Upgrading getting down towards that southwest though, that is definitely interesting. I think the crowd is roaring and wanting Upgrade to do a little better here in the main event. We need to see that same kind of prowess that came through from yesterday, as something just switched in the mentality for them. SK Tong getting taken down. That's over on the north side.
These teams enter Impala in dribs and drabs and playing fairly split from one another. Regnum Karya playing as 2. You've got the Galaxy as a solo. You've got Upgrade as 4, which, as you highlighted earlier on that southwest side, might have quite an impact. Reject as 2 as well. Ake Cyber currently split 2 and 2, it looks like, over the Impala Hills on that higher ground beneath LGD. But we're going up further north, Blank. And this is a fairly indecisive circle. You talked about it before, that north high ground, that south high ground, having that conversation with one another, and it still has not resolved.
Yeah, it's seriously difficult now, because I think at this point in time, you can't make any clear decision. You kind of just have to gamble with your spot. I like the 7-2-1's position over on that western side, though. It has that clear delineation between both spots at the moment, and has good sight lines out towards them. If this moves south, I think I put my money on Nongshan Red Force, because I really do like that high ground. Oftentimes it does become a terrifying spot for teams to try and aggress over towards. The only thing in my mind which would make me worry about that is the fact that Nongshan Red Force hasn't been the most fearsome team, let's say, inside the lobby.
Yeah. Ooh, lovely nade up on high from Mukesh. Not really anything Duello could do about that on the replay. Black Esports taking those long-range shots. Upgrade, 4 players holding their line and maybe thinking teams are going to be pushing them, but I don't think that's really on the cards for anyone. With LGD up on that high ground, Tian has so much oversight onto it all, as well as Nongshan Red Force. I don't think anyone can realistically successfully crash through Impala without all of those smokes being invested early, and I don't think teams are willing to do that at stage 5. Hellion sweeping out to the north, and actually 4MV trying to stay safe on the slope, but the ankle is showing. And top is toppled as Hellion find that sliver.
It's good stuff from Hellion. I mean, I don't even know how they got this northeast push in the first place. It's such a difficult crossing. They made very good use of this terrain. Azik does go down, but a nice spray from Groza will hit Dog within the smoke.
And they're looking for those flushes from Groza. Calls out over the smoke, gets a little bit of info maybe, but those gunshots should be further information. And now 4MV dispatched down to 2. You can see Black Esports on the other side of that high ground, which is why they're not chiming in for the shots over towards Hellion. And it's a decent rotate for Hellion, but without Azik, they're playing on a reduced sightline capability. Septimus wants the challenge with Falcon, and he's doing well for it as well. Forces Falcon back around towards the rest of his team.
Falcon is backed off. Circle in 40 seconds though, which is the difficult part. Zjol almost on target that grenade, just need to be a little bit more cooked before it would have done too much damage. Black Esports on the backside, that's Aussie, Symphony and Septimus, like you talked about earlier, still rotating round. Had a lot of control over towards Impala early, so they had the pick of the litter. But as teams started to filter their way in, they opted for that north side. I am very curious where this next circle goes now, because it will define the pace of the game. If it goes directly central, I think a lot of teams are going to be very unhappy with that.
Hellion up to the high ground where they saw one half of 4MV, and actually they'll be taking on the other half from this location most likely. Circle going to be closing in 40 seconds. You can see it's going to push them further south, as it will 4MV as well, to be fair. With Rorinho on that long off angle for Hellions, it feels like it could be a successful engagement. The question is the blue zone going to change that? In the midst of it, it's still undecided north or south, which again gives the 721 aggressors a little bit more advantage.
Exactly, and I think that although they're on the border of the circle, there is a lot more onus put on these teams on the south and the north side, how they want to play out these next few minutes. But super indecisive overall, this circle. It really does hurt these teams in the long run. 4MV still going though, taking out Raurino. Reefus finds one, Falcon round the side. Zjol and Reefus locked inside this building. Groza nades his teammate, that's not a good start.
Reefus hops out with the auto shotty into the smoke, but he's getting peppered, and in the meantime will not be able to find it. Hellions with 2 players now against Zjol, Falcon and Groza. A Molotov launched on in, and that burn should be good. Zjol falls next. Hellions stay alive with 2, but they still got a way to go. Groza's burning himself. Oh no, he goes down. Falcon needs to get his teammate back up now, but in the meantime, can Black Esports third party it? I don't know. Maybe they can.
They're pretty far away. They're up on the top at the moment.
You never know with Black Esports.
That's true.
They can teleport through that mountain.
That is true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think for Hellion, though, it was not a strong fight. I think 4MV just really drops the ball on that one. I mean, you see Reefus run out, and I can't tell if it's just not a call made from Reefus or a very slow reaction speed from Zol there, but I really do feel like Zol should have backed him up. It could have been a very different story. Nepex still in this gorgeous position on the north side, full broadside over towards Black Esports, who are being pushed off this high ground now. Prestige from RA, you know, living it.
Yeah, there's Black Esports moving in on Hellions.
Yeah,
Who knew?
found the shots.
That's what they were looking for. Ooh, nice little jump down there. Arfuz thinking, hang on a minute, I didn't want that to happen. I don't want to let that go, but unfortunately doesn't have any choice anymore. Black Esports now regrouped out to the east. Just Groza remains for Hellions on the north. And Nepex with 4 in a commanding position on that side of it as well. Fairly isolated too compared to the rest of the teams.
Yeah. This is where things get rough. Because I think there's like at least 4 teams here inside the north edge of Impala. Reject actually set themselves up quite well. I think always taking those most northern buildings is a strong idea. Gives you ability to hold out a lot of these other teams later on. It went more central.
Here's that replay. Yeah, Aussie just moved into position. Spotted Falcon, then backed off, regrouped with the rest of the team. Nepex with the team to take down Hellions. The circle again shrinks dead in the middle of this thing. And the 721 aggressors again have that advantage to just stay in the flux position. LGD have to sweep out wide. They go nice and quickly actually out to the east edge. And they'll be playing on from the compound there. Enigma Galaxy burnt out as Upgrade are able to take a little bit more of the west side of Impala.
There is actually a chance for LGD if they wanted to, which is to swing north towards silos, try and take the teams out from there and then move over towards Nepex position. It is a bit of a long shot, but the options are quite limited for this team right now, other than slide over the top side towards Nongshin Red Force, but that is a difficult push.
Bates from Akicyber landing to split off Upgrade from the rest of their roster. 2 and 2 right now. Buzz maybe going to take a bit of damage. No, the burn went a little bit long there from Regnum Kaya. Ramses and Ruzen crawling back. Akicyber did take a knock, you can see there on the high ground, which makes their presence over towards that a little bit harder to feel. Upgrade might get these reses. Nongshin Ren Force on this east edge now, fending off against LGD. LGD with 4, and Tizzy goes down as well. 3 players are alive. Tizzy is knocked, so only 2 active, bleeding out fast. Vinny needs to tag this res on. Tian, Lynx can start to surge forwards. Mau Mau into the buggy, and they know he has to commit to this. Vin around the edge with that DBS, looks for the shutdown onto 1, but really won't find too much at all. Leaving it just as Doc alive for Nongshin Red Force.
I mean, it's a very, very quick play coming through from LGD. Nongshin Red Force, technically on these positions, you hold advantage. That looked pretty scary for a second then. Yeah, you hold advantage because you can constantly back up through these crates. And for LGD to just kind of sweep through them like that off the initial pick is just not amazing coming through from Nongshin Red Force.
Akicyber was forced to be rezzed. Will play on as 3 from the south side, but they are penned in so badly right now by the teams to their sides. LGD out on their east, you've got Upgrade on their northwest as well. And they have to choose their fight here. LGD, 4 players alive. They have got a lot of control on their side of the road, but they have to move, Blake. They have to go further into this one, towards Reject, towards Nepex's sightlines too.
Yeah, usually by this point in the game, it either shifts a little bit towards west, in which case 721 have the advantage, or a little bit to the north, in which case Nepex have the advantage, or it shifts back down towards south, in which case teams that can hold this top corner of Impala tend to do very well. It's still not done any of that and we're in stage 8. So after this, we're just closing straight in onto the road of all places. For Nepex, I think life is going to get very difficult soon because they're going to have to crest over the wall that sits on that side. LGD, what are you doing?
They're making a streak for the center here, right up against Reject, right in the face of Nepex, and maybe they'll find something. Tian goes down first, and I think they've got 2 players forward here. Lynx is there as well. Akisaiba nade over towards 2 of them. A huge opener from Force. An R8 fall as well. Last player to stand for upgrade. Buzz has Zvezda sent straight towards him, and that's how you spray down an oncoming vehicle. Zvezda immediately taken down, but Buzz takes a nade to the side there. Blasts it back down a peg potentially. A low HP position, but the first aid is already ticking up. Zvezda resable here. Force trying to isolate this fight, and Buzz repositions around the edge with the DBS.
Buzz has to move in. This stuff will be a play of a lifetime right now. Buzz looks for one, but it's not meant to be. Force will push him back. LGD struggling to regroup on Lynx here.
Nice pickup from Force there on the spray down at range on Aggressor. A nice mid-range engagement. Dips back, 3 players alive for Akisaiba. The reses are coming through for LGD. They are playing as 3 right now, but another knock just sent over towards Lynx. Nepex aren't going to push south of the road, so these flushes need to come from nades if they come from anywhere, or for the teams on the south. But Afu again just goes down, and LGD are suffering so heavily. Finally put out of their misery.
LGD, man. I mean, I like the play. You know, you try and play up against the slope there. Reject, though, versus Akisaiba. Take down admin to start things off. For Reject, an important game to get into that top 3 to keep those point scorings up as the defending champions. And they're doing more than just that. Akisaiba suffering even more damage coming their way. 7-2-1 looking to finish off Nepex on this eastern side.
That's easier said than done, but they are 4 players strong right now, Blank. Nepex have 12 elims, though. So they are running on hot right now. And Rex with a nade. Sends Spidey into a tailspin. Aggressor with a nade to answer. We'll split the difference. And there's the volley of fire from Yonic as he steps out nice and prescient on the fight. Rex in the back lines of Domain. Pinned on in. It's up to Precious really to make this one work. First is good. Second not so good. And Aggressor to bite back. And the 721 Aggressors now can start to channel over towards the south edge. But the zone closest to the road. Apollo there. Zvezda there. But do they have the sideline to control it? I just don't think so. Another team falls down. That's Akisaiba. 3 players alive. And now it's all up to Apollo for Reject. Gets the res onto Divine. So 2 players in the back lines. The blue zone is upon them. And it's all but done. The 721 Aggressors hold in the midst of it. And to tumultuous applause, find the chicken dinner.
It was a long time coming, right? That was a very, very slow game. Purely because of the circle. That sort of main stage was the circle itself. But for 7-2-1, they do a good job. They delay as much as possible. Nepex almost really hurts them there with a great grenade around the back. But it's Yonic who really seals the deal because he gets enough chip damage on most of the players there from Nepex so that they can't exactly continue the push. And I think they were lacking on utility. Either way, I think Reject also going to be very happy with that one, getting a second place off that positioning after losing so many players early on in the match. Really good stuff in terms of their point standings.
Fantastic result for Nepex, over doubling their current points total on just that match, Black. They had a great record there, but couldn't quite get past the 721 Aggressors, who just waited out the storm in their side of the road, in their little quadrant that they held down for so long. And they got a decent profit for it as well. So for the 721 Aggressors, they're looking to keep the Uzbek fans happy here in Tashkent.
Yeah, as up-and-comers, I think the 721 Aggressors have a lot of potential. I think they might need to just change their name to the 721, though, at some point, with Aggressor playing on the team. But, you know, either way, great stuff from them. Really, really pleased with that game. They chose a good spot, but I don't think they over-egged the pudding either, right? They could have pushed a lot further. They could have maybe taken a couple of knocks here and there, which would have hurt them in the long run. They knew that they had to just keep their position solid and not show too much weakness weakness or allow any openings to come through. And I think they did that quite well.
I liked LGD in that game as well. I think their position overlooking Impala was capitalized on. I think they did well to move around to the east side. Obviously, it's just really difficult to make anything happen there.
Yeah.
The only thing I will criticize them for, and I could see you kind of thinking this in your head, is that push up to the roadside. There may have been better options, but in reality,
I do think that is
it's just rough.
that is kind of looking back, it's kind of your only option, really. We're going to head over to the stage for a quick interview with Mukesh from NepX.
Welcome back to the main stage. I've got Mukesh here from NepX Esports. Some crucial points secured in that match for sure. But, you know, I feel like it was just an unlucky ending. It appeared that you got yourselves into a difficult position. What happened?
के भएको भन्दा खासमा अब हगेकै हो किन राख्नु अब चिकन खान सकिन्थ्यो तर हग्या हो भन्छु म I'm sorry for that.
To be honest, we would say we choked that game. Our goal was to get a chicken dinner so we could get a better run, but didn't go as we think.
Okay, no, that's a fair point. Now, I think that one of the things to notice as well is you've been competing on this stage against different teams. Now that these other teams have joined the lobby, what's been the biggest change in game? Have you noticed a change, like maybe a change of speed, or, you know, has things just been different in game?
First of all त हामीले ड्रप लोकेसन पनि चेन्ज गरेको छ लाइक हामीले त्यो जसरी पहिला खेल्छौँ त्यसरी चाहिँ खेलिरहेको छैनौँ त्यही भएर हल्का अब गाह्रो पनि भइरहेको छ बिकज इट्स अ ग्लोबल लबी अब बेस्ट वर्ल्डकै बेस्ट टिमहरू सबै आएर खेलिरहेको छन् सो एडेप्ट गर्न अलिकति गाह्रो भइरहेछ तर यो गेम अलिकति बुस्टर जस्तै भयो हाम्रो लागि.
First of all, we had to change drops because of the professional team. They were coming under our drop. And because of that, it was a little bit hard for us to adopt the new drop. And it was hard for us to rotate as well as and play as we used to did. And because of that, it's getting really hard. Yes.
I guess that's one of the things, like, to really succeed on this stage, you have to be really quick at adapting to this in-game. But you know what? You guys have been really impressive so far. We hope you get that chicken dinner before the end of the day. And there's only one game remaining on Miramar, so best of luck in that. Thank you, Mukesh, for joining us here in this interview. But for now, let's head back over to the analysts to break things down for our final map of the day.
They got so close to being able to get that chicken there, but I mean, ultimately, it didn't end up working out. It did end up happening to the 7-1 aggressors, which, Max, I'm going to be honest, I agree with what the casters were saying. They weren't really that aggressive, but it worked out for them.
Yeah, I mean, they went their position super early on, right,
Yeah.
the T721, and actually, they had one of the most impactful pushes in this game versus NepX at the right time, so I can't really fault them for being passive when everyone is just fighting for scraps in the city of Impala. You're just chilling on the edge, you're waiting for the play count to go as low as humanly possible, and that's when you decide to get involved to make sure not only do you get a few eliminations at the end, but most importantly, you make sure you at least get top 3 and even maybe the chicken dinner, as we just witnessed.
We like seeing those teams being able to not only be aggressive, but also be passive if they need to, especially if you have the advantage in a position.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there were several teams who had that advantage, like we were just saying, right? I mean, LGD, for one, had a massive advantage. Black Esports as well, up on those high ground positions. It was very, very nice from them. We also saw NepX have a similar thing, but we'll get into that later. But it was very, very similar for a lot of teams. And the fraggers coming into this, the top players, I mean, you are going to have our number one is going to be actually Aggressor. It's all in name. But the rest of them are all from teams that were kind of just waiting.
Yeah, actually, just for Aggressor, I like how he gets 5 elims, 0 knocks. He's just like, I want the elimination points for me. I love those. But yeah, NepX, we do get then Rex and Domain. I feel like, in a way, when we look at how this game played out in the mid to late game transitions, a lot of the teams come in from the northern side. NepX kind of took care of all the threats that could have been an issue for the 71 Aggressor. They're like, we are protecting your position. And then once they did their job, they're like, we don't need you anymore. Get out of here. Get back to the lobby. And actually just claim that position on the ridge, we'll talk about in a few minutes with the telestration segment. But I do think the NepX did a lot of the heavy lifting this game. They just didn't get the reward at the end with that chicken dinner.
We heard it from the players, right? They felt like they choked that one, but we'll see what can happen. You know what? You were talking about wanting to do a illustration, wanting to talk about terrain, wanting to talk about the 7-1. Max, take it away.
It's happening now. No, actually, I really want to talk about this game and how it played out earlier on, because we had a very unusual circle. Circles that end on rivers or roads, it happens quite commonly around Iptra, but what would you have happening quite rarely is actually a road trifecta. You have 3 roads intersecting in the middle of the map, creating pretty much 3 play zones entirely for these teams to play, turning the entire match pretty much in like 3 mini battle royales, weirdly enough. Only 1 or 2 teams will come out alive of their own respective play, but one part of this terrain is very interesting, which actually is the northern side of this road. What this position actually allows is actually pretty much a ridge, is allowing you to have a defensive position against those southern teams. The moment we see this terrain come up, we just know this fight of the 7-2-1 aggressors versus Nepex is going to be so important, because whoever wins this fight, off the back of this fight, we'll be able to apply pressure on the teams in the 2 other zones separated by the road, which we saw once they eliminate the northern side, they go for the push, get the engage onto reject, and end up taking the chicken dinner. The terrain knowledge of the 7-2-1 aggressors was 10 out of 10, and it's great to see them be passive when back in the prelims in Ventura, they tended to be a little bit overly aggressive.
Absolutely. We heard Nepex rather on the stage just there going, we were wanting that win, and you could see why, because they were in a very, very similar position to T721, right? If they had won that fight, they would have been in the exact same position you just mentioned, able to cross that road and get that win, but it just didn't work out for them, and it is going to be T721 to get that.
It's good to see there on the first page. I'm happy to see Helium. This team has been needing those points. We saw them go up against 4MB. They knocked 2 players, and then they continue it up and fully eliminated them.
Yeah, they absolutely did. It was very, very nice to see another team stepping up, though. Goodness me, it's going to be LGD. I mean, they have been the silent pole position here for, I guess, a while. I mean, it's only 1 point, right? It's only 1 point. But LGD managed to get top of the leaderboard without any chicken dinners, as do Dick Xavier. But what is this time seeing? 3rd to 7th all having a win?
Yeah, all the win, and yet not in 1st place or 2nd place. That's quite interesting. But eliminations is the name of the game, clearly looking at LGD 31, Dick Xavier games up 28. They're looking pretty grand when it comes to it. If they are able to lock down a chicken dinner tomorrow, that could be putting the nail in the coffin. But right now, they haven't shown the option to get one of those chicken dinners, which is a bit scary, because again, Smash rules, that chicken dinner on day 2 here 7 is going to be so damn important.
The thing is that everything is so close within all these points. It's going to come down. I'm hoping it ends up coming down to that Smash rule. I mean, one team, I'm going to have to bring them back up, because they just continuing to get eliminations, but I want to see them a little bit later in the game. It's going to be 4MV. Neptura, 19 elims.